Welcome back. Today we're prepping the south bend for another job. I haven't used it for a while, so we go through the office, clean the vise because it's collecting dust, and then oil it. I use 68 Y oil. It's my personal preference because it sticks quite well. It's got quite a few oilers. There's one here. There's one down at the bottom. There's another oil over here. We're going to oil all these shafts here. So it's an old machine, so it's going to drip. That's important. Got enough oil. There are a few more over there. I don't know if that's visible. Might be I'm in the way. There's one here. So that's all those. We're consuming a bit of oil on the rear. I don't know why, but just top it up. Open the oilers, so it's flowing. Front one is consuming a bit as well. We got the vase. It's very important at the back of the lead screw there's another oiler. Shouldn't be forgotten. I'm not going to turn the camera around because it's clear where it goes. And then just do all the cross slide. Hasn't got a lot of oilers on the vase here, so all you do is looking for gunk and then just give it a clean. And you can feel it's moving a lot lighter now. I think that's all of them. So let's move the carriage back and forth. It was sitting here, so we cleaned that again. And just oil that as well. The lead screw dab of oil. Always appreciate that. Alright, so I think we're ready to go. Today we got a delivery. It's actually a piece of pipeline. It's about 320 in diameter and about 600 millimeters, 650 millimeters long. That shaft is an old dyno shaft. We're going to make something of that. It's 6 millimeter wall thickness, so it's just about okay on the lathe diameter wise, and that's gonna come soon. Sorry if it's a bit shaky, but that's the third time now I filmed that because I tried with a new camera and it just didn't focus properly. So what we're gonna make is basically a shaft. I changed my mind, I'll make that 40 not 35 because the material is big enough. When I designed the whole thing I was calculating with 35 millimeters, which should be enough, but my shafts are over 50, so why not make it 40? Just gives you more strength. What we basically make is a drum with two stub ends, which one end is a bit shorter, the other one is a bit longer. There will be another one which has two identical lengths, but that's the shorter shaft, so we're going to make that. Again, this is the shaft. There will be some taper lock flanges and taper locks on each side, and these are basically discs, look like that. These are the taper lock flanges. You can buy them and you can fit them on the shaft and basically position them everywhere you want. So once both the discs are actually made, we turn them down to fit that piece of pipeline we have, which should be 310 plus whatever is available. It's 620 and a bit, or 630 long, so I cut it in half. Should give me 2 of these drums with at least 310. If it's 300, I'm alright with that, no problem. We're flexible. There will be a bearing sitting here, basically just sitting that's the bearing. It's got a bit of a collar here, and that's mounted here. It's one of these pillow blocks here. They're pretty cheap, so can't make it for the money. So basically on each side we have a bearing and the whole thing can spin. There will be a time we will reveal what that is actually. At the moment it's just about making these drums. I actually make 2 of them. Made myself some notes about the dimensions of these taper locks and things like that. So first we're going to get the shaft to size, because at the moment there is a taper on each end. So we're going to turn one side down and then we turn it around and do the other side. Make sure we got that 250 or shorter in the middle. We just leave that material on there. Gives us extra strength. Once we finish, we're going to make a keyway here, because the taper locks itself, the tapers itself are keyed, so it doesn't rotate. At least one of them. The other one is sort of a floating one because this may get warmer, so we need a bit of expansion room eventually just to get the stresses out. So the plan is actually making the shaft, fitting the discs with the flanges on, turn the OD, fit the tube and tack weld it, check it how it runs, and if it runs okay we weld it, and then we skim the outside to 319. We got 320 and a bit, hopefully that's enough. If it's 318 and a half, it's 318 and a half. As long as they're both the same diameter, I'm happy with it. They run at a fairly high speed, so we need to make sure that they are fairly well balanced. Anyway, let's go to the lathe and make some chips. What we're going to do today is we're turning a big shaft down. The problem is it's got a taper on both ends. I looped the chuck already, so because it hasn't been used for a while, so it's all a bit sticky. So we got it dialed in. Don't know if that's visible. About 100 or so. No, not even. This is okay. This is the only surface I can indicate. The other ones are rusty. So what we're gonna do, we turn it down to about 40 to get rid of that. We turn that down to about 40 to get rid of that taper. And then we turn it around and do the other side. We don't need to tackle much in the middle. We need about 100 here and about 120 from this end. But essentially the chuck is just grabbing on the very front of the jaws. So I don't want to put too much force on it. So let's machine that down and turn it around. Can interrupt the cut because of that keyway which is there. But it's doing well. never be worse. Nice curly chips. Alright, let me machine that down a little bit and then we go to the other side and get rid of our paper. Gonna be a bit careful because this is hard chrome here and there is a keyway, so it's an interrupted cut. I only machine it until I can't see these two ridges anymore, and then we work the stub end down to 40 millimeters, about roughly 40. Just make it round, and it's going to take a bit. I'm running relatively slow feed rate because the stuff is pretty hard, and you can see the color of the chips. They're getting quite hot. I'm not using any coolant because I think the finish looks better without. So we'll see. Goes cool, and it'll take a while. Finish doesn't look too bad. We got rid of these cuts, so now we're gonna check it, but I think it's 120, which we need to get down to about 40 for now. Let's check that. So taper has cleaned up, and we just machine it down. Go slow and steady because the stuff is really hard. Can't take deep cuts because otherwise things are getting really hot. Oil doesn't really help. Just go slowly. Alright, we'll come back when we're further down. We're using a bit of oil, but it doesn't really make anything better. Maybe the finish is better, but the chips are getting the same temperature. This stuff, I don't know what it is. It's pretty hard because it was a dyno shaft. So we just need to take the time. At least we make some smoke. I increased the speed a little bit, so the finish is getting better now because the diameter is getting smaller. And we'll see how it works out. So I think we make that our final cut with 47 millimeters. Oh, we got it straight so we can chuck it, and then we need to machine the other side a bit deeper in, so let's call that good.